links were everything, and as everybody talked about today, they're still a big deal. But some of the stuff that we've been finding over the last couple of years is that maybe links aren't everything. So if you think back to the Stone Age, way back in the 90s, Google was just getting started. And since that time, a lot of stuff has changed. So this is the slide that Thomas was helping me with, and we were thinking about all the changes that Google has rolled out, all of the updates, all of the small updates. And these are only the ones that were listed at Moz in their algorithm update, which, remember, is a fraction of a percent of the changes that Google makes. And there was this many. This is what's been going on with Google. And over the last few years, even more exciting stuff has been going on. Right? Penguin, Panda, authorship, Hummingbird, all that great stuff. I have a feeling that this is what it looks like in Matt Kutz's backyard up in Mountain View. He is just so happy to be burning all of this down. And in the meantime, this is us, right? We're back at the agency, we're just trying to figure this stuff out. None of it's making sense to us. But what's different is we've known all along what's going on because nothing's really changed. I try to contribute as much as I can to the Webmaster Forum, Google's Webmaster Forum, and it always comes back to the same thing. Google's been telling us the same thing forever, that if you just kind of follow our lead and do what we ask you to and stay within these constraints, things will work out. And of course, as SEOs, the first thing we try to do is say, well, we can outrun that. We can scan this algorithm this way and that way. But over time, what's happened is the algorithm has picked up speed and it's getting more and more difficult to outrun. So if we can get our mind straight, if we can start thinking about what are the things that we've been doing up until now that have worked and haven't worked, and what is their future? The first one to think about is email. Email is still possible. But if you think back to the olden days, it was so goddamn exciting. There were movies about email. Right? When's the last time you were so excited you thought, I wish there was a good movie about email, because that would really do my heart well. You know, now when we think about email, I just pulled this out of my trash the other day. I bought an $8 item from OpenSky, and this is their follow-up. This is only a fraction of it because I threw most of it away. And this is how most companies are doing email now. They're not trying to find out about me as a person or what's going to resonate with me. They're sending as many emails as they can and offering these huge discounts because they don't know how to connect with me. These are the email benchmarks by industry. I think this is from YesMail, that talks about the click-through rates on email. This is all considered normal, right? Industry standard. If any of these look familiar to you, you're like, yeah, that's pretty good. But think about this from the real world. Like 2% click-through rate? That's horrific. Can you imagine working at Target and calling the GM at the end and be like, hey, we had 1,000 people in here, 2% of them bought stuff at our store. Like, that would be horrible. But in the online world, we think of that as acceptable. PPC, a whole other channel that we've spent the whole day talking about. Again, still possible to do something remarkable with PPC, but it's getting more difficult. This is the revenue PPC is going to generate for Google this year. $50 billion. That's what you're feeding. That's the beast that you're feeding. And because of that, there's more and more people getting in every day, more and more people spending money, bidding on more keywords. It's getting more difficult. Just like email, you can still do great things in PPC, but it gets harder not even every day, every hour, this stuff gets more and more difficult. This is how I think about PPC. In 2000, great, right? You could kill it in PPC. You should have spent a ton of money in 2000. In 2014, you're still playing the game a little bit, but it just doesn't feel the same. You know? You've still got some work to do. Your swing is a little bit cockeyed. You get to social media. Could we have been any more excited about social media 3 years ago? Right? Let me check in at Foursquare twice during dinner because now my meal came too. Social media has changed and it's totally at scale now. Every single social media platform out there is at scale, and they get to scale twice as fast as they used to. You know, think of some of the new ones. Vine, I have a friend who works at a startup in New York, Ocho. Like, that thing already has 1 million users. It's barely live. Social media is totally at scale. So how do you compete there? The problem with social media is, just like all the others, you can still be outstanding, but it gets harder and harder every day. And not only that, but when you look at who's doing social media out there, you can't be awesome in every single channel. You have to choose one. Because over time, your Facebook fans will be great, or your YouTube fans, or your Twitter, but you can't do them all. Because if you try to do them all, you're going to fail at all of them. So you end up having to be great in one channel and kind of just be available in the others. So that made me start thinking about the traditional sales funnel. And I think it's getting near death. And the reason is, I can't bring my friends and all of my social connections with me through that funnel. So if you've ever read the piece by David Edelman where he talks about not so much a funnel, but a circle. And he says, when you buy something, that's not the end, that's the beginning. Because the beginning is when you can start becoming an advocate for that brand. So when we talk about SEO, what we really want are those advocates. Because it's hard building links. What's great is when somebody else is helping you push that ball up the hill. I don't know if any of you saw the Eli Pariser, or whatever, the guy who started Upworthy's TED Talk about the filter bubble, or think about this personalization that we're doing in Google now. What it means is, it's very difficult for me to get to you guys. Because you've built this bubble around you, and you think, I know my friends, and I know my trusted sources, and everybody else can just keep up. Because I've got my sources in front of me, and those are the only ones that are going to influence me. So it got me thinking, I was writing a white paper, and I thought, what about a big traditional brand, like Whirlpool? Anybody in here connected with Whirlpool as a brand online? Start thinking about this question. How the hell would they ever get to you? How is Whirlpool ever going to get their message in front of you? It's almost impossible because we don't let them in anymore. Why don't we let them in? Because this is what our Facebook newsfeed looks like now, right? It's just full of junk. But if you look closer, what you'll notice is there is something going on there. My friends have decided I need the ostrich pillow enough so that they've shared. 5 of my friends thought that was an important enough thing to like and share, so I saw it. So what these guys did is they played that side door. They got to my friends as a way of getting to me. I know you guys are all going to order that immediately. And that brings us to this idea of friends marketing. Maybe this is the way we can get to new clients, new customers, new readers, new newsletter subscribers, because you start to think about, what if you knew your customers or website visitors as well as your best friends? Is there a way to do that? Think about your best friends when you hang out. You don't even have to say stuff. You can just give each other a look, or one word, and you crack up, or you cry, or whatever it is. There's an unspoken language, and there's a sense of trust. And that's what friends of friends marketing is about. So I hope you can see this. I know sometimes it's hard. But this was a tweet I found in the wild around the Whirlpool brand. This is one of those things that, if I showed this to you guys, 99% of you would say, that's such BS, that is totally planted, right? Because that looks like how we were all taught to use Twitter, and that it's going to work, and we're going to influence people right at that 0 moment of truth. But that was just totally out in the wild, and you know how I can tell it's real? Because Whirlpool did nothing after that. They didn't follow up, they didn't offer them anything, they just kind of let it die there. But that could have been a beautiful moment, right? There's somebody who's saying, I'm glad I follow you. So the guy, Ryan, he actually does something at Whirlpool. He's not their social media guy, but he does something. But what's interesting is, when I was doing research, I saw, oh, they're working with Nest. And that was interesting to me. Does anybody here not know about Nest, the thermostat? So Nest is a programmable, you can control it from an app on your phone, that type of thing. I bought Nest early on as an early adopter because that's what I spent my money on. And I love it. Now, the fact that they are partnering with Nest so I can now control my washing machine through my Nest, that's suddenly interesting to me. Now, I might be interested in something that Whirlpool says. They didn't reach out to me, like I found that out on my own doing research for a white paper, but still, that is a little bit of friends marketing. They partner with Nest, and because I already like Nest, I can find out more about them. what we're all really after in the end is exposure. All we want is eyeballs, that brief moment of look at my stuff and you'll see something interesting. Because this is how we find new stuff now. We go into our filter bubble, we look at the stuff that our friends have shared with us, and that's what we find interesting. Or the people we follow on social media. We look at them, we kind of know their habits. If you don't have this Dremel tool, you should check it out because I love it. Like, do a search someday on Twitter for I love my, and look at all the stuff that's in there. You know, after boyfriend, girlfriend, dog, stuff like that. There's a lot of product out there that people love. Also, I hate mine. Also, boyfriend, girlfriend. Because the truth is, after we buy something, and after we've used it for a little while, and let's face it, we don't buy a lot of stuff that we are not kind of attached to now. I think the US in general buys a lot more stuff that they want for the long term. So we support the things we love. And even after we buy them. So I bought a Timbuktu bag not long ago, and I tweeted a couple of things about it because it's really cool. And I want to share it with the people who are in my group who might also need a messenger bag. Because I love my bag, I know that the people who are like me might also have those same things. So take a guess what kind of car this guy drives. Anyone think it's a Chevy? No, it's a Cadillac. Is this guy going to buy Adidas shoes? Probably not in the near future. So the question is, what can you do to drive the people who come to your site and who connect with you to do stuff like that? That should be your goal. It shouldn't be, can I get a link? It should be, how can I get them to put my brand permanently on their body? Because that's when you know someone loves you. Even if you are just a crappy little startup coming out of Durham, sometimes people will put a tattoo on them for that. All right, that's totally not true. I just found that in a Google image search. But it could be someone who loves Curagami. The truth is, it's a tapestry now. You know, when I've been listening to all of the talks today, they all talk about this Venn diagram that used to be all over the board coming more and more to be completely overlapped. And that's what SEO is becoming in my mind. So last night when I was talking to some PR folks, what I realized is those PR folks are doing SEO, and the SEO folks are doing PR all the time. And that's good. We should be doing that stuff. Just like content marketing is SEO, and SEO is content marketing, and the stuff we learned from the AdWords campaigns that we use to do better SEO or figure out what kind of articles to write, it all works in that same big bowl of soup. So that's how you should be thinking about SEO. It's not a standalone. Remember when people used to go, can you SEO my site? Like those days are coming to an end. So I pulled this up. This is a quote that I really like. It's from Rand. But here's the thing. It's from 5 years ago. Like, we've been talking about this stuff for 5 years. Now, Rand may have a little better mind for search than the average person, but he's not been the only one talking about it. We've all been talking about it. But the truth is, there was such good money in outrunning the algorithm and in buying links and getting clients to rank fast. And I know because I've worked at agencies that that's what we did, right? We could turn the dials in a way that got them to rank, but it doesn't work anymore for long term. We were just talking at lunch. All the old tricks work, but every day they work for a little bit shorter time period. Is anybody here not familiar with the 1-9-90 rule? The idea is for every 100 people who come to your site, 1 will become contributors of some sort, write a big long comment, something like that. 9% will interact in some other way. Maybe they'll like it or something like that. A little bit less interaction. And the 90% will do nothing. They'll read your stuff and then move on. So the goal is really to find those 1%. Those are the ones that are going to make all the difference. Those are the ones that are going to eventually become your evangelists. And that's not easy to do. Building community is the hardest thing. Has anybody here tried to be a community manager? Anyone? It's horrific, right? It's the hardest thing to do. So what you have to do is let that 1% help you. Because they already know the ropes. They're going to tell you who's a big shot in the community you're building and who isn't. It's a great way to think about your website, is finding that 1%. So how do you do that? I think there's a couple of essentials. The first is listen. We love to talk and push stuff out in social media and PR and websites. We love to talk about ourselves. The truth is you can listen and learn a lot more. The next one is we have to love our customers more than we do now. There's a lot of times out there where we take our customers in and we fulfill that order and then we chase the next customer. It would be better to roll around on the hillside with them for a little while to let them know how much we really love them. Because we all love it when that's done to us. So there's no reason we shouldn't be doing that with others. Teaching, I think that's a huge win, both from the content perspective and the SEO perspective, which we talked about earlier. The idea of writing particular articles to hit particular queries that you know people are looking for. You know, what's the best way to get to the Grand Canyon from Las Vegas, that sort of stuff. Thinking of yourself as a teacher is a much better way to move up through search than some of the traditional methods. Serving your customers, as Downton Abbey as that sounds, is really what we should all be doing. Whether you're using analytics, PPC, the Conductor platform, any of that stuff, you want to be using them to serve the current visitors that you have more full. It didn't make any sense. In a fuller manner. Because that's who's going to carry your message forward. So I'm looking to be working at a tiny little startup. There's just 3 of us, but we're trying to make tools to help some of that come true. You can barely see that. Curagami.com. So if you're interested, just come up and talk to me after. We've got 3 tools right now that are all very tiny. But that's really it. That's my message, is that the existing sales funnel is dead, and the conversations, those ones that we have inside of our social networks, those are what are going to drive everything moving into the future. There's my contact information. But that's it.